wanted stuff. If you want special attention, rather. So if you're in Twitch chat and you want special attention, well, actually, I'll probably mention you a game anyways, but we'll probably just go over everybody anyways. Might as well. Okay, so shall we just go over? I mean, basically, purple team had their soul lanes win really hard. Tristana beat Lucian in lane, but Lucian managed to come back, and Tristana couldn't really 1v5 their team. Especially because of how good the team fight is just naturally out of the fact that you have Fiddlesticks, Jarvan, and Zyra for just zone control and AoE power. So that's pretty significant. Okay, Zyra wanted some stuff. Cool, I'll start with you then. Did she start Spell Thieves?
I don't think she did, but I don't remember. I know that Sona did.
She had really early. I remember she had really early Sightstone.
Yes.
I'm not sure. Did you even start Gold Gen, or did you start Ruby Crystal? Actually, I can't remember anymore. Hey, brain. Anyways, regardless. I like the early Sightstone. That was good. I typically on Zyra would rather go Spell Thieves, just because you can actually proc that really easy with your plans. So that's okay. You didn't start Gold Gen. I tend to prefer starting Gold Gen. Ruby Crystal start is something I say is more of a tanky support start. You get something you start like a Thresh or a Leona, or somebody who wants to be
Leona.
Braum, exactly. Somebody who you like your early tanky stats on, but for somebody like Zyra who's not somebody interested in tankiness, she's interested in damage. So starting Spell Thieves I think would have been a better start for you. Plus she procs the Gold Gen from it so easily with how her plants work, because her plants will proc it on auto attack from a plant. So that's super easy. It's free gold, and that one will actually get you the most gold of any of the Gold Gen items if you can keep procking it effectively, as she can. The Moby Boots aren't bad, but I feel like you probably could have gone Sword Boots or CDR. And then the Merlin non-com, we talked about it. You and Fiddlesticks, Fiddlesticks built his second, so it's probably more on him, but like you shouldn't both have a Nomicon on the same team. Especially when you're a team that's very team fight oriented, right? I mean, if you're both picking people off separately as different champions, okay. But I mean, it's just there's no point in having two on the same team. So that's a problem. It looks like you were going Void Staff last. Actually, my personal favorite damage item on the Zyra is a Liandry's. Liandry's does so much damage on Zyra because her plants will proc it. And her slowing plants from her E, those double proc it because that's a slow, and it makes the Liandry stick twice. So, Rylai's is also very nice on her. Yes, I'd say. Rylai's from Nomicon. If you'd known that Fiddlesticks was going Merlin Nomicon, which you probably didn't, because you don't have comms or anything. Yeah, if you'd known, I would have said probably go Rylai's. It's actually like she works really nice with the Rylai's Liandry's combo.
Yep. Did you die?
Alright, and hold up. Anyways, what was I saying? Right, Liandry's Rylai's, she's somebody who actually works really well with that combo. Not unlike how Rumble works with it, just because she can proc the double slow real easy.
Yeah.
But yeah, the Rylai's works nicely with her. I believe it procs even on her long range plants. It is counted as an AOE, so you only get the 15% slow instead of the 35. But no, it's still a very solid item, and it gives her some much needed tankiness. She is lacking. So, like if I'm really fed as Zyra, I'll go Liandry's into Rylai's, and then like Zhonya's. If I get really fed as Zyra support, which happens semi-regularly. It's actually really easy to get fed.
Dem carry supports, man. Dem carry supports.
She's scary, man. If she gets ahead, she just builds little mage and then you just die. Okay, so I'm just gonna go to in order because it's easier. And I don't feel like trying to jump around and remember who I've done and who I haven't. Yep. Kale. Kale was facing the Jarvan and got beat up really bad early.
You had a really rough time early.
Yeah, you had a couple times where you kept trying to trade it with him and you were losing lane. Like, losing a lane like that, you don't try and force the trade. You try and hold up the trades. Especially, the thing with top lane Jarvan, or mid lane Jarvan or whatever, he actually falls off really hard. he's not unlike a Lee Sin in how his power spikes. Though he's really strong early, but he falls off a cliff late game. And then he's just pretty much just pure utility and engage.
Also, something I just noticed was when you activate your splash like range damage. I can't think of what it's called.
E.
Your E.
I don't remember what it's called though.
Yeah, when you activate your E and you know that J4 is going to try to probably all in you for trading with him. I don't think it's considered orb walking because you're kind of going in and out, but if you just keep going in, auto attack him and back out, you'll continue to do so to the point where when he does finally try to flag and drag you, you can don't put your slow on him yet, slow him after the flag and drag so that you can escape and you'll be putting pretty much or fairly close to free damage onto him.
Pretty much. Like, you do have range advantage. Like, early on you got beat up a bit by just how... I mean, it's just... He does a lot of damage and he caught you off guard by that, I'd say, was a large part of it, but... Like, once you got to the point where you weren't getting completely dominated by him, you need to abuse that range advantage, if at all possible. So, yeah, like, it's not like facing... Not a great comparison, but like a Kale versus a Yasuo, you have them beat in range, so you just abuse that and just beat them down with it when they can't get to you.
Yep.
Okay, so that's kind of the basic spiel for that. Nothing terribly wrong with the build. I mean, going into Runan's after their Nashor's Tooth and Zanya's. Predicted, we touched on the Hydra first in the game. You don't want to finish your Hydra early. You want to kill the Tiamat, then tanky items, and then eventually finish your Hydra like once you've got a couple tank items, really.
Yeah, the Hydra...
You don't need the extra sustain. And it's, I believe, 1,200 gold to go from... Or no, not 1,200.
It's 8 plus
1,400.
6. Yeah.
Yeah, 1,400 gold to go from Tiamat to Hydra, and you don't really, like, you don't need the extra stats Hydra gives you.
No,
so
basically
you're better off spending that money on, like, that's giant spell plus.
Yeah, I was going to say, you have such great built-in sustain with your Q. You're really using that early Tiamat for a little bit of wave clear and for the reset on your W so that you can cancel that auto attack animation after landing your W and not just kind of stand there and do nothing after you've stunned them, so that you can lay down some more damage and slice and dice your way back out, getting the free trade-off. Building it into the Hydra, like you were saying, you're spending 1,400 gold. That's a giant spell and ruby crystal if you really wanted to go really crazy. That's a big amount of tanky stats that you miss out on early that would have helped you survive longer in lane against the Heimerdinger when he was harassing the crap out of you.
Yeah.
1,400 if I'm actually not mistaken. 1,400 if I'm not actually mistaken is a Spectral's Cowl. So that's the difference.
You're actually dead right. Yeah.
That's the difference of buying a Spectral's Cowl.
Made your lane a lot easier. That would have made your lane so much easier. So yeah, you probably should have done that. Otherwise, you did pretty solid. You got up in the fight and tried to do your best to be a tanky nuisance. But I don't know. The team just got pretty far behind, and you guys didn't have enough damage, I don't think, because you had a fairly tanky top laner and a pure tank jungler, which hurt you. And then your mid lane got really far behind, so your only significant damage source was Tristana, who was just getting feared by a Fiddle Six or whatever.
Yeah,
so
they only needed to focus one person, and that was Tristana. Once they realized that there was not a whole lot that you guys could do except for try to peel for her, while Lucian, Heimerdinger, and Jarvan, and Zyra even are doing a ton of damage. Actually, their entire team is doing a ton of damage. Even Fiddle Six is doing a decent amount of damage. That's going to...
But a lot. He built full AP, so yeah. The next game, I believe the last battle arena is already in game. So that's it for tonight.
Yep.
Sorry.
Come back next week.
Yeah, come back next week. For fun. Anyways, Rammus, you built full armor. And they actually had two pretty significant AP threats. They had two very significant and one fairly significant AP threat on their team. Like, you don't have any magic resist at all. They had a Heimerdinger who was fed, a Fiddlesticks who did a fair bit of damage, and then Zyra is going to do more damage than your average support. So, yeah, that's basically it. Just, you needed to build some magic resist. That would have helped you a lot because you could have been even more tanky. And you probably could have ganked a bit more top lane when Heimer was so pushed. Like, yeah, he had 3 turrets, but his 3 turrets were closer to your turret than to his. You can just kind of be there and just get around on the other side of him and make him go, like, okay, now what do? Right? Like, you can just give him all kinds of problems that way. So. Yo, Confused Banana, are you in T-Force chat? Because that's where they give you all the information for this.
Oh, he's saying he refreshed for 30 minutes. Someone said to search the name. It probably got full before you had a chance.
They were probably in-game before you were searching for it, because we started 36 minutes ago, and they were starting just after we did.
Yep.
So, actually more than 36 minutes ago. We started like 40 minutes ago.
Okay, continuing. We had...
yeah.
Where were we? Rumble?
Where were we?
Rumble. Rammus?
Rammus,
we were working
kind of
off of
Rammus. Basically, Rammus, you needed some MR against their team.
Yeah, it was...
And you could have pressured top more early, because that Heimerdinger was really, really pushed. And he's Heimerdinger. He's got nothing for his skates. He's got a stun and a flash. And it's a skill shot stun that he can pretty easily miss. So, you should have taken advantage of that, I think. But, I don't know. Otherwise, I don't have any major problems.
Nope, seemed to just do Rammus-y hyperball things. Tristana?
Tristana, you did really well. I mean, you did your best to carry it. The problem was you were the only real threat in your team most of the time. And, like, you and Kale were the only things even resembling a threat, really, on your team. Kale was not doing amazing damage, and you were just getting focused on and getting exploded, so...
My only
I really like... You were very slick with the rocket jump over somebody's head, then ult them back into your turret or something.
Yep.
That was pretty slick, fast-figured stuff. I wish I could do that. I'm far too bad to pull that off. But I liked that. That was cool.
I didn't see it a lot, but I did. My only qualm with Tristana. I saw a couple rocket jumps into like 3 people after your team had lost a team fight, and you picked up a kill, tried to rocket jump out, and it's like, yeah, you got a kill, and then they chase you down and kill you. Just be wary of that. It's better to not even bother picking up the kill than to get it and trade it off to the team that's already ahead in gold. You're not even getting anything out at that point. Unless you're getting shut down gold, which is different. But yeah, just my little...
Yeah, on Sona... Okay, a couple things. Athene's, you really should have probably gone Mikhail's. Just for things like Fatal Slick Sphere or Heimer Stun. Or even a particularly bad Zyra route. You don't... Athene's is more of an offensive item, and when you're a support, particularly, like, Mikhail's is so good. Like, they had to nerf Mikhail's because it was 100% like, it was, you bought sites and then you rushed Mikhail's in programs. It's that good of an item. So they had to nerf it to make it more expensive, but they actually added some CDR, so it's still pretty solid. So I feel like you should have done that over the Athenes. And, I don't have any other issues too bad with your build. Although, you had, I saw on several occasions, you had just either your ults missed or they were late. Like, when you're playing somebody like Sona, your big thing is your ult. Your ult is your core. You can't, if you don't get your ults down, there's no point in playing a Sona.
Yep.
I'd recommend working on those, because you had a couple where it's like, you needed ult like 10 seconds sooner, or you had some where you just missed people. So, work on that. Fiddlesticks. Mention with the Zyra, like, you guys both built Merlinomicon, and she built hers before, so you should have gone, oh wait, we already have one, and built something different. So, that was just a poor item choice. I mean, it's a good item in and of itself. It's just the fact you had 2 of them on one team for no real good reason. Actually, there just isn't a good reason to have 2 on one team, really, almost ever.
Yeah.
Otherwise, build was solid. You had some decent ults. You had a few questionable ones that, like, you had one right near the end of the game where you were so far away when you ulted in, you had to flash in and you were still barely in range. So, like, I'd work on those a bit. And you got caught a fair bit, so...
Yeah, just...
somebody that squishes Fiddlesticks, you have to be really careful for that.
Yeah, being very careful on the other thing, just timing your Zonias.
Yeah, you had
just in general.
Like, you didn't Zonias until you were down to, like, 50 health. Like, you want to time your Zonias for when the big damage is starting to fly at you. It's not unlike when Kale ults.
Yep.
You don't save it for when you're about to die, you save it for when you're going to avoid the most damage from it. Which 9 times out of 10 is when you first ult, like, you ult in and then you Zonias. And go, ha ha ha, you can't kill me while I'm doing all this damage to your team.
Ult, draw raid boss aggro, Zonias.
Pretty much. That's basics of it. I'm not sure you really needed a void staff because they had hardly like. Okay, Renekton had an MR and Sona had an
Sona.
Apron Cloak. That
Yeah.
was literally all the MR on their team. So I'm not sure the void staff was necessary. You probably could have built something else AP wise. You could have gone for something like be silly like a death cap.
That would have been
You wanted more
ridiculous.
damage. That would have been ridiculous, but it would have been fun. Anyways, so yeah, that's kind of it. Heimer, you did a lot better job this game at transitioning out of lane,
Yep.
but you still could have you spent a lot of time just top lane, just freezing in between like his tier 1, where his tier 1 would have been, and his tier 2. Like you're not doing anything right there. You're just sitting there farming. Like you're not even zoning Renekton anymore because of where the lane was pushed to. You're just farming against Renekton, who's also farming.
My two biggest qualms, I had two that I really noticed or three, thank you, because I'll add the rotation. The first one being, it's fine to split push. It's fine. It's like early when you're pushing that Renekton back farther and farther and farther and farther. At one point, you had him pushed all the way back to his tier. Am I gonna screw this up? 2 tower.
Tier 2 is the one that's not at base just yet.
Yeah. So tier 2 tower, which is fine, but you need to have ward control and tons of vision around you, or you're just going to get caught out from... I mean, it didn't end up happening from what I saw. You ended up escaping the slow gank that came up really late for you. But a ton of vision control would have, in their jungle area, around that blue buff area, so you would know way ahead of time before they came up, would have allowed you to pressure that tower even more heavily and shoving that Renekton into that tower, and probably taking that tier 2 tower even earlier.
Especially against Aramis, you want to ward farther back because, not unlike a Hecarim, he comes in real fast.
Yep.
So you need more time to react to him. Otherwise, he's just going to be on top of you. So.
And my only other qualm was, I did see, you did better with it, but I did still see quite a few TPs to a lane, like, push on some objective, maybe get it, and then run away, whereas...
You should always be walking to a lane you're split pushing.
Yeah.
100% of the time, you should be walking to the lane you're split pushing. You shouldn't teleport to it. You teleport away from the lane you're split pushing.
Yep.
Save it for that.
That's pretty much it, though. Otherwise...
Yeah. So yeah, basically, you spend a lot of time to sit in top lane really doing nothing. And you could have rotated mid and helped drive and take towers or something.
Yep.
So
roaming...
That was my biggest problem. Jarvan, you did real well. You did mention the you went Thornmail Warmogs, which is admittedly a silly amount of health and armor combined.
Ridiculous.
But that takes a while to build the two of them separately. And your first armor item should always be one that combines armor and health. Well, really, your first of any kind of resist item.
Yep.
You want to combine the two. It's much more cost efficient. Like Thornmail is something you don't buy until you're facing a lot of auto attackers and you already have a Randuin and a Sunfire or something like that. At the very least, one of the two. And I mean, Warmogs is good if you just want more health, but like your defensive item should have been a Randuin's, not a Thornmail. You should have gone from your Banshees immediately into that instead of a Thornmail. That's my biggest issue. Is the build was non-optimal.
Other than that, though,
late game it probably gave you better stats. Well, actually no, Randuin, Sunfire. Yeah, Randuin and Sunfire would give you slightly less strict stats, but
the passives are really nice.
Well, not necessarily that even. It takes that much longer to build both of those.
Yeah.
Then to just build Randuins and you got your health, your armor, and you're good. You're happy. So that's my biggest problem.
Other than that, seemed pretty legit.
Yeah, Lucian, I mentioned how I don't really like the Blade of the Ruined King in Trinity Force. I'd rather see you go Infinity Edge in Trinity Force.
Yeah.
I mean, it worked decently. It worked pretty well for you. And you were building an Infinity Edge at the end there. But...
Raw damage, OP.
Raw damage is just... It's so good on Lucian. Because he's actually got pretty good scaling for that. Especially... His Q is insanely good scaling.
And nobody on their team built a lot of health, aside from Renekton getting kind of tanky. But nobody else on their team really built a decent amount of health, so the Blade doesn't really help you all that much.
Pretty much. Like, on Lucian, Blade of the Ruined King, it's a strictly situational item, in my opinion. It is something you build when you need to bust tanks. It works very well when you need to bust tanks down, but if they don't have tanks to bust down, there's no point in buying it. You might as well just buy flat AD. It works better for how it works. And Zara, we already talked about you, so that's pretty much it.
Yeah,
For us.
I think that wraps up game 4.
As far as I know, we're just doing 2 games tonight. So well, for us. So I'd say go watch the other stream.
Yeah.
On twitch.tv/DForce Podcast. They're still in game, so.
And just end spiel, guys. I hope you guys had a good time. Please come out next week,
Totally.
Tuesdays at 7 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, and play again and bring some friends. Hopefully we get to the point where we have to have 3 concurrent games, because that would be insane.
That'd be awesome. It'd be crazy, but
That would
awesome.
be crazy but awesome, and we'd love to have you. Join in Game Chat Channel T-Force, join the community, talk to the community.
Seriously, hang out in the chat channel. Don't just be here for Rumble Pit. It's a lot of fun. People,
Battle Arena.
Talk about whatever.
Battle Arena.
What did I say?
You said Rumble Pit.
Oh. Yeah, Battle Arena, that. I
But
look
yeah.
back.
Alright.
But yeah, basically, just come hang out with us. Play games. It's
Come
fun.
hang out, join the community, you'll learn a lot, listen to the
And you'll make
podcast.
all kinds of new friends. Like, honestly, my friends list is like doubled since I started going in there. It's insane.
Just avoid
30
Badger. That's the only
Yeah.
problem. You just want to avoid Badger. Alright guys,
Yeah.
that wraps
Anyways.
up Game 4, and it wraps up Battle Arena for us tonight. Thanks
Yeah.
for coming out, and have a great night everybody. Thanks for playing.
Go check
Zach
out the other
V.
stream, yo.
This is Spork V. Go check out the other stream. Good night.
Peace out.